Well, welcome. Tonight, we're going to talk about one of the hidden gems in Milford. And I know we have a lot of gems, but this one is just hard to describe what an effect it has on how many families in town. It's the special needs, Special Olympics, special kids, special parents, just special all over. And for people who haven't had a chance, many years ago, I got conned into coaching a soccer team, which scared the heck out of me because I'd never worked with special needs kids. And it was the most glorious experience of my life. I mean, I was always very, very fortunate that I coached different teams for 14 years and I had great parents, but never, ever did I have kids or parents that were such a pleasure to work with compared to the special needs and Special Olympics kids. So let's start with introductions.
Hi, I'm Jennifer Walsh. I run the Milford Area Special Olympics.
Hi, I'm Paula LeBlanc, and I am the Special Olympic bowling coach for Milford.
So you just took a trip.
We did.
We did.
You want to talk to us about the trip you just took?
Do you want to go first?
We just came back from USA Games in Orlando, where Milford had a softball team that competed. We had Paula coach the bowling team, and your lovely daughter Alexis coached the swim team. So we were out there for 10 days competing, and it was, like Paula said, the time of our lives.
Now, what is the USA Games?
It's athletes. Every state is represented, so it's athletes from every state coming and competing at a national level. So each state is given a certain slots. Like with we took a softball team, a football team, a soccer team, and
Basketball.
we took a basketball team,
Swimming,
and bowling and track,
and golf,
and bocce.
and golf.
Yep, and golf. So we had a high representation. We had 75 athletes and probably like 25 chaperone coaches.
So 100 participants
Yeah.
from Massachusetts.
Yes.
How do you afford that?
We do a lot of fundraising, Each individual is asked to raise $900. Was that the cap? 900, 800? Around there. But if they didn't, it was okay, but they were asked to. And Milford alone, we did our own fundraisers to help support our athletes that, had trouble raising the funds.
Well, we've never turned down kids, whether it be special needs or just plain old typical teams.
The Milford community is really good about helping when you put the word out. You know what I mean? They're really good about helping with fundraisers. I mean, the local radio station did a couple fundraisers to help us, and people just stepped in and did fundraisers for us, and some of our individuals did them on their own too. So.
How big is this special needs, Special Olympics, special program?
In Milford or in the state?
Well, in Milford.
In Milford, we have about 300 families and athletes. It's not just Milford, so it's Milford area. Because like you say, I have the same philosophy as you. I don't say no to anybody. If they're willing to drive to Milford, then we'll find a spot for them and we'll fundraise to make sure that they can participate.
Well, that's been a nagging, annoying, nearsighted view of some people.
Yep.
That we draw kids in
because
we have such a strong special needs program.
Well, and you figure, if we don't do it, so if I don't keep my programs open to anybody, it affects the Milford individuals too, because I won't have enough for a softball team, or I won't have enough for athletes because they're broken up by age and ability. So I wouldn't have 8 to 15-year-olds to make a softball team, or I wouldn't have 16 to 21-year-olds. They're divisioned by age and ability. So if I don't open it up, I wouldn't have enough to give our Milford students and athletes the experience that too. So, and then why would I say no? Because other towns don't have the ability either.
But you turn around, and I've always said, if the day comes, and hopefully I'm up north, and I'm not getting on the great bus for the final ride, and they hand me suntan lotion. But if the worst thing you're accused of is being too soft helping kids, somehow I think we can live with that.
Yeah, I'll be okay if that's it. Yeah.
And realistically, we've had this argument over and over, but I could see somebody, if you were denying Milford kids to put programs in for non-Milford kids.
Yeah, no.
But our town's never been that way.
No.
We've always taken care of our kids. And if we help some kids from a neighboring town along the way, I have to admit, and this is being a FinCom member, but I don't think that's money badly spent.
No, and the thing is with Special Olympics, you have to fundraise for it. You have to, so that's how we do it. We just do bigger, more fundraisers, and people from all towns come to the fundraisers. It's not like it's just Milford people come in. It's people from all towns come in, all areas, and they help us from all surrounding towns to support all of the athletes. So they're supporting our athletes too.
We had somebody from Worcester that bowls with us, and he's also on the softball team, so he had to make a decision. Did he want to go for bowling or softball? And his mom, they fundraised a lot and gave a lot of money towards the softball team to go. And he went on the bowling team, but they still supported.
But see, that's the thing. I mean, when you look at it, if you do the right thing, it always pays off.
It does. You're right.
And I would challenge anybody to look at some of the faces we see in the Special Olympics and turn their back. You just can't.
You can't.
I mean, all the years I coached, I had teenage girls. So when the hormones started running, we got into some interesting situations. When I had the Special Olympics teams, if they weren't doing what you were saying, it wasn't because they were defying you.
No.
They didn't understand.
You just had to change the way you were teaching it. That's all.
That's change the way or say it a couple times.
Yep.
But you never had parents. Also, I never had parents, because I've seen horror stories of parents not behaving on the
sports,
sidelines, and our Special Olympics parents were wonderful.
They're the cream of the crop.
Yeah, the cream of the crop. I agree.
The bowling parents that I had in Orlando were so amazing. And one of my athletes, there was a problem with her luggage. It was misplaced until like 12:30 in the morning. And I was a mess. I was crying because her luggage was lost. And she gave me a hug and said, "Coach, it's okay. Don't worry about it. We'll figure it out."
And it came. It showed up.
And it showed up.
Yep.
But they ground me.
Now we have 300 families. What does that mean in athletes?
That's what it means. So it's about. See, we have Special Olympics runs all year round, and we have like 5 or 6 sports every season, and we have 5 seasons. We don't have like the usual 3. We have a lot of seasons going on. So, and then we have school day games. So school day games alone is like 200 families in Milford. It's 200 families from Milford, ages preschool to high school, that are involved in our annual school day games. So that alone. And then we have the sports that run all season long, that some of those families do, and then other families. So we have all ages. We serve from preschool all the way to 100 years old. That's what it means. So people that come into it when they're in school, they stay into it as an adult, and it's the one service they can take with them when they leave. It doesn't change, it doesn't go away when you transition in at 22 and everything else is changing. This is the one thing that doesn't, because we have teams. We still do it as you get older, so it never stops.
But now 300 kids. We only have 4,800 kids in school. So you're talking 6-7%.
There's a lot of individuals. It's all different levels. You don't have to have, you don't have to have a severe disability. We have all levels of students in our program.
So there's a place for everybody.
There's a place for everybody.
I remember.
And we have unified teams, Al, too, so don't forget. We have a lot of teams now, many teams that are students with and without intellectual disabilities on the same team.
Now, what's a unified? Explain.
So unified is a team that has individuals with and without disabilities on the same team. So we have unified teams at the high school. We have basketball. We have
Track and field. We have strength and conditioning. That's
unified. We have a flag football team that's unified. We have a softball team that's unified. We have
Bowling's unified.
Bowling's unified. So we have many unified programs. So some of our athletes are, have intellectual disabilities, and some of them don't, because we have the unified teams.
But that's wonderful, because you think about it, that's helping not only the kids who have disabilities,
It's helping the
but
kids.
the typical kids, if that's the right word.
No.
I never
right.
know what
I think typical.
Yeah, or we say kids without disabilities. But to me, every kid's special. So it doesn't matter if you
Well,
have
that
a
was the
disability or
argument
not.
years ago when
Yeah.
he said, to me, the kids with disabilities are no more but no less special
Yeah. I
than
agree
the other
100%.
4,000 kids.
100%.
They're
I agree.
Milford kids, they bleed Milford red. They're our kids.
Yep.
And I've always been so proud of town meeting, because somehow, with all the politics and all the silliness that goes on, it doesn't affect town meeting. Town meeting has always been able to cut through the nonsense, use a politically correct word, and make sure that our kids are taken care of, whether they're star football players, baseball players, cheerleaders. I mean, I remember the first time you brought the special needs cheerleaders. That was so cool.
We have rhythmic gymnastics now. I mean, because of COVID. I mean, COVID did a lot of things that stunk, but we started some new sports just for recreation. Like we have cornhole now. We have the rhythmic gymnastics for fun. We have bocce for fun. So we started a lot of things like that we didn't do before to give up more opportunities for our individuals. And because with COVID limited the numbers at the time, I wanted to make sure everybody got something. Everybody could be involved somehow. So we just started some new programs.
So you're taking kids from what, 6, 7 years old?
Yeah, we're taking them. No, so our young athletes program is 3 to 7.
3? Fantastic.
Yep.
But they go all the way up to 21, right?
They go all the way up to over. I think my oldest athlete is close to 60 right now.
There was a power lifter. We saw awards, and he was in his 70s.
Yeah. But in Milford, my oldest is in his 60s.
But in the school system, now, how does this work with the Best Buddies and the other programs?
So Best Buddies is separate from Special Olympics, but it's the same mission, so we work together all the time. It's all about inclusion and equal opportunity and things like that, no matter if it's Best Buddies or Special Olympics. So Best Buddies is more on the social end, where they do dances and they do trips and it's the same thing as Special Olympics, because it's just on the field. Everybody's equal on the field with Special Olympics, but we go away on trips with Special Olympics too. So they both do have the same mission, about inclusion and things like that, but they're just separate entities.
Well, it
that's
seems
all.
like
Two different drivers. Two different drivers.
But Special Olympics seems to teach the kids life lessons in sports and getting along.
And a lot of leadership opportunities for our individuals. Like we just had this week, one of our athletes was inducted into the Hall of Fame for Special Olympics Massachusetts, Joe Morrill.
Joey.
Yeah. And that was at the JFK Library, and he had to speak there. I mean, and Joey spoke before, but he had to get up and speak when they honored him, and he did an amazing job. But the fact that he has had many opportunities through Special Olympics to go and speak at different smaller events, it made it easier for him when he received this award, because there was a lot of people there, and it was a big venue for him to go up and speak.
And they can stay in Milford High till they're 21.
22.
22?
And they can
And they're
stay
learning-
with Special Olympics forever.
But they're learning life skills.
Yeah, yeah.
Some of the stuff we take for granted, budgeting, cooking, preparing.
Yeah, that's at the school level, yeah, the pre-voc and voc.
So now you bring those kids together, and then like the dances. It's just great to see all these kids and then see them on the field together. And it seems like mostly all the same kids anyway.
Yeah, well, the thing is like you say, it all melds together, and these different opportunities that they're given give them the confidence to go further and do more. you know, a lot of families, like we had a hard time getting the word out to the younger families, and then we started doing the school day games, which is a 1-year event, but it exposes all the younger children and the younger families to Special Olympics so that they know what to expect and what it's about, and so then you're getting more younger families involved, where before we wouldn't see athletes until they were like 14 or 15, they came to the high school. And then, you know, but now we have them coming younger because we have a young athletes program. We have a developmental sports program, which is ages like 7 to 11. And young athletes is like 3 to 7. So, you know, we're trying to expose them as young as we can to give them all, like you say, it teaches so much. Why not start them when they're young?
You know, and it's funny because people used to say, well, we appreciate how much the coaches give to the kids. And I used to laugh.
No, it's bad. That's the wrong way around.
Other way around.
Right, Paula?
I take more from these kids than I could ever imagine I gave them. They just made you feel good.
Well, that's like when Paula, we were talking about USA games, when you come back, you're like, I can't wait to go again in 4 years because, right?
The memories and the feelings, it was just
the accomplishments of the athletes, like you're there right next to them when they're accomplishing these goals, when they're getting that gold medal, and you've seen how you've trained for months with them and seen how hard they have worked, and then they get that gold medal, and that's it.
But even on a local level, when we went to the state games,
locally, yeah.
You always say, well, they don't care about the medals.
They do care about the medals.
They do care about the medals.
Oh God, you'd hear somebody, I got a ribbon. But when they got a medal, the gold was great, but they got a medal.
Yeah.
And the look on their parents' faces, their parents were giving, you know, just loving looks and how proud they were.
And the coaches' faces.
Yeah.
I cried so much when they won, and then during the award ceremonies. I mean, they made such a big deal about the athletes. No matter where you got off a bus, there was a tunnel of people clapping and cheering you on, like everywhere we went.
Well, you remember when an athlete started and you had to like watch all the gym doors because the athlete would bolt, and then 3 years later that athlete's like sinking hoop baskets in a game, which, you know, 3 years ago you were like, if we can just get him to stay in the gym, and now he's participating in the game and getting baskets. Like, that's like hitting a lottery in life. Do you know what I mean? Like, those are the accomplishments that get you. Or someone trips on the court and the whole team runs over to help them get up.
The game stops.
They don't care. They don't care if it's another team member. They don't care if it's, you know, they go and they pick them up. Everything stops. Like, those are the things that get
Well, but even the facilities. I remember we went to Harvard where they have all their rules.
Yeah.
One of my favorite pictures is Lexi pointing to a sign over my head. It says no photography, and I'm there with my camera. It's like, probably not the best place to let somebody take a picture under the no photography sign, me holding my camera. But nobody's ever come to me and said, you can't take pictures of the kids.
No. And well, we always have releases anyways to participate in the programs. We have releases. And, you know, it's very rare that we have someone that can't be photographed. And if they were, we make sure without it being a big deal.
Well, if it was something that the child's safety from exterior is a problem, then we'd make sure that person, that kid, isn't put in danger.
Yeah, every athlete has to fill out a Special Olympic, what we call medical form, and part of on there is a waiver for photography and release. So we go through every medical, and they have to be renewed every 3 years. So, you know, you flag things like that just to make sure it doesn't happen. But I've only had one athlete in the 30 years I've been doing it that couldn't be photographed, and like you say, it was for safety reasons. So you just make sure it doesn't happen.
So now, 100 people. We went and deposited our participants at the hotel the day before. Because Lexi told me that they had to get up at 2 in the morning or something.
Yeah, we had to get up quite early to catch the shuttle to the Logan.
The Philistines. The Philistines had to get up early. The ones on the private jet.
We had to get up early too. We left the hotel at 4:30 in the morning because we had to go to Hanscom.
Now people are going to ask, where did the private jet come from?
Textron Airlift. Massachusetts was granted 23 seats. So we had 3 planes. We had 2 8-seaters and 1 7-seater. There was, I want to say, 160 flights for the Textron Airlift program.
And you hated private, right?
Oh, I never want to fly
She doesn't
commercial
wanna
again, Al. Never again.
For a mere $10,000 to $20,000, you can buy a ticket on a private plane.
And who greeted you when you got off the plane, Paula?
Peyton Manning was
Right there.
He was
He
the chairperson for the Textron Airlift, and the whole flag football team got their picture taken with him.
Yeah, that was a big deal for those athletes getting off the plane and having Peyton Manning standing right there.
They made such a big deal. We got off the plane, and they had golf carts to whisk us to the hangar that was set up. We walked in. There was music. There was food. There was swag. There was everything.
And how many private flights?
For the whole
USA.
USA delegation, I want to say it was like 160
Yeah,
flights.
That's significant.
yeah. It was very nice of them to do.
And every flight had a number. Like our flight was Dove 37, which I have the sign to give to you. And that was our flight both ways. So when they were calling air control, it was Special Olympics Dove 37. And we had the same pilot both ways. And it was big corporations that donated their jets, and some, like I know John Travolta does it, and a bunch of other famous people.
Well,
donate
John
their jets.
Revolting, though, has a small plane and he's got a 707.
He donates a small plane.
I was going to say, my Lord. He's a real pilot, too. I don't know that I'd... How many hours do you fly? I want the guy that's flying every day.
Yeah.
So he started off bringing everybody together in a bus, or buses.
Buses, yeah.
I assume that's so that you didn't have to chase people who were chronically late.
Yeah, because it's when you're dealing with 100 people, you know there's going to be, a couple that, and also you're talking about some of our athletes have difficulty getting there, so it was easier on Friday to get people to bring them or to carpool and things like that. Get everybody in one central location. Make sure everybody had what they needed too. That's the other thing. You can't get on a plane without, your ID, all that. So, and then we had to check everybody's luggage to make sure it wasn't over 50 pounds, and
Make sure they had all the uniforms.
yeah, make sure
and
so that was Friday night was pretty busy, by the time we fed everybody and then checked everybody for their IDs and luggage. Then we
So
were,
how do you choose? Does everybody who wants to go get to go to?
everybody see, this is why medals are important to our athletes, because everybody that medals in the qualifying year is able to apply to go. So you apply to go and you put in like a lottery and you're basically picked out of the lottery. So, in teams, it's the whole team that goes into the lottery, and in individual sports, the individuals go into the lottery. Like we had one boy that qualified in bowling and softball, and he got picked for bowling individually, and then his softball team got picked, so he had to make the big decision on what he was going to do. But he decided to go to bowling so that we could take an additional athlete on the softball team. So someone
that's
else got the
nice.
opportunity. That was really nice of him to do. Yeah,
And
he's a
the
great.
coaches have to do the same thing. The coaches have to
to
apply
apply.
as well. You have to be with Special Olympics for so many years, and
They interviewed him.
would you write an essay and an interview? And
Is that right?
Yes.
So you have to apply to put a week's worth of time
Yeah.
away from.
it's
Well,
more than a week because you have training
Yeah.
camp and practices and
Al, and so this year we had it at Disney. Everybody applied. When we went to Seattle or New Jersey, or then we went to Nebraska, they were looking for people to apply. So, but this Orlando trip, they had like so many more applying, so they did the whole interview thing, and yeah.
Now, did Disney donate the passes, or it's $100-some a day per person?
They took every athlete and coach got to go to Disney one day and Animal Kingdom another.
Wow.
It was very nice.
What did you do in between?
In between, we competed. We competed
Competed.
all week.
rode
It
on
was
buses.
very busy. It was very busy, extremely busy.
How do you corral that many cats?
We had meetings every night. We had to have the leadership team had a meeting every night, the coaches and the leadership team every night to to coordinate what was going to happen the next day. So because depending on how you did in the competition, things could change to the next day. We had to make sure all the coaches, like for example Lexi, she has 4 athletes by herself in the swimming pool. Well, depending on, some of her athletes could have events at similar times. She can't be running around by herself doing that, so we had to make sure she had the support for her swim team on most days, you know what I mean, so that she could get it all done.
Yeah, this year they didn't film as much of the Massachusetts delegation. I remember Washington. I was
Seattle, we saw a lot. Yeah.
so impressed. Everybody walking out,
Yeah.
perfectly stoic, holding, and then one Fruit Loop comes out, dancing around.
Your daughter?
I looked at Sharon. I said, "That's your daughter." She goes, "How do you know?" I said, "I know. That's your daughter. There's no way they're going to contain her." She was just jumping up and down.
And the thing is every year, so every 4 years, a different states bid for the opportunity to hold USA Games. So Orlando won the bid that year. In 4 years from now, it's going to be in Minnesota.
Hopefully in the summer.
Yeah, it is in the summer. Usually it's in July. With Disney, I think it was June. I don't know why. It's the first time we've ever gone in June. So.
Well, Minnesota has June 28th, and then they have winter. So
let's go at the beginning of June.
Yeah. I have no idea when.
So now you're there for 7 days?
We were there for, it was, well.
9 days.
9 days,
9 days. How many of those days are you competing?
Well, the first day's arrival, and then depending on the flights and when you get there and unpack and all that. The next day was opening ceremonies, and then we compete. So it's the first day you get there, then opening ceremonies, and then you start competition right away.
Bowling
Right after.
competed 4 days. We had preliminaries, then we had singles, doubles, and teams. So we were at the bowling alley for 4 days.
Lexi competed all 4 days too.
I think they might have even been 5.
Yeah, she might have been 5. Swimming and track and field had a lot.
Yeah.
They had a lot.
No, that's a busy schedule. If you
It's a
then
busy schedule.
put in a couple days at parks.
And then the teams have games, at least one game every day, the teams did. So depending on when their games were.
So how did we do?
So our bowling team, our basketball team got gold. Our Milford softball got bronze. We had to play down a player. Every team is allowed 10. We had someone not come because they got sick with COVID a couple days before, so we had to play with 9 players. But so they played down and they brought home bronze, which was amazing in itself.
So you can't substitute.
You can't do any alternates that late in the game.
Why is that?
That's how it is. That's how it's always been, but we never dealt with COVID before, so I don't think they changed the rules.
So how did bowling do?
They did awesome.
Bowling, I had one bowler. She got gold in every single competition. They took gold as a team, and the other girl bowler got 3 golds and a silver, and the guys got 2 golds and 2 silvers.
Holy moly, that's
amazing.
a lot of medals.
Yeah.
These are all Milford area
She's
kids.
Milford.
Well,
One was a Milford athlete.
One was from
the other 3 were
Milford,
for-
one was from Worcester, one was from Springfield, and one's from North Adams.
Springfield. They come all the way from Springfield to the Milford.
No.
Oh,
So
She's
my
a
Worcester,
USA Games coach, so she was selected.
so
as-
you're representing the whole state.
Yes.
for bowling I did, yes. But I did have one Milford athlete that came,
Oh, cool.
so
And
that
like
was.
Lexi, when she went, she represented the whole state when she was picked. The teams, so when you're picked as an individual coach, you're representing the whole state. The teams, the whole team and the coach go.
So it'd be a Milford team.
Yeah, so that's why like we went, the softball team, the Unified Partners and the coaches all went as a team. And then 4 years ago, we had soccer. Josh Trotwine took the whole soccer team.
So how many sports are represented at the USA Games?
Oh my God, I think, I mean, they even had
They had
swimming in the ocean as
They
a
had
competition down
surfing,
there.
they had
had surf-
paddle boarding, they had
I would say they had-
cheerleading, gymnastics,
I'd say over 40 different
Wow.
individuals.
at least,
Yeah.
at least.
So there were 100 Milford area.
Mm-hmm.
How many total in the USA Games?
They said, was it 5,000 athletes?
Wow.
I think it was, right around 5,000.
Holy moly.
We took over Orlando.
Yeah, we did. Yeah. It was a busy place.
Plus 20,000 volunteers.
Yeah, to run it all.
And people
So-
took like weeks of vacation. We met one of the people in transportation. They took a 2-week vacation to come to volunteer at the games.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is.
So what else about the games was exciting?
Being with the athletes, getting to know the
Yeah.
athletes.
Yeah, that's a highlight.
Well, they seemed like they were all on a high at Logan when they were coming home.
Well, coming home, the state police were waiting for them all, and they escorted them through the whole airport.
Oh,
and
is that-
they walked through all these people cheering for them. There were state police, there were Boston firefighters, there were all these first responders and frontline workers. They're lined up as they walked through the airport.
We had
It's
that
a
at
baggage
Worcester
claim.
too.
Yeah,
We had that at Worcester when we landed.
in Boston, and at the front of the line was a state trooper that escorted us all the way to the front.
Oh, Worcester, the place for the
The plane.
bougie travelers.
They let the families out onto the tarmac.
Really?
Yep. I got off the plane and my husband and son were there, and some other family members from other kids were there, and there was
They do it upright. They do it upright for the athletes.
Well, I mean, this is the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is really special.
It is really special. It's a huge accomplishment. And like you said, the favorite part is just when you know the athletes and you work with them, building up, and you know what they've overcome, you know what they've accomplished, and then to even for some of them, it's their first time flying on a plane. It's their first time traveling, leaving the state of Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind going to Disney, and to see everything through their eyes is like I said. I mean, that's the highlight. I know was the highlight for Paula. It's the highlight for myself. It's the highlight for your daughter, to just see everything through their eyes and watch them experience all this.
whenever we did something, we got to take them to Disney Springs, and myself and the bocce coach, our athletes hung around together. We ran into the store first and videoed them coming in because their faces were just like
No, where Springs?
Disney Springs is the
like-
old downtown Disney.
Oh.
So it's all the shops and the restaurants and
Oh, it's like that. It's like Main Street of Disney.
It's like it's away from Disney. It's not.
Oh,
it's
it's not
Disney
in
property,
Disney.
but
No.
it's not in the park. It's
Yeah.
outside the park.
It's outside the park. It's a separate Disney. It's fun. There's a lot to see, a lot to do.
Lots of different type of restaurants
Yeah.
and all different shops and
That was like Disney Shanghai when we went there for a conference. We never made it in because we got so distracted at all the stuff on the outside. And then I had to get a new suitcase because I kept finding stuff for my grandson.
Oh yeah, and then like we came home with a lot of swag too. We had so much more luggage coming home than we left with, because everywhere you went, they were giving the athletes free things.
sneakers.
Yeah, everybody got a free pair of sneakers. These are the USA Games sneakers. You like them, Al?
Wow.
I should have wore mine
Everybody
tonight.
got a free pair of sneakers.
We got more backpacks.
They gave them shirts, backpacks, water bottles.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it is fantastic. And then whenever they had downtime, there were plenty of events for them to go to. They had a huge Olympic town that had a lot of fun things for the athletes to do in between. Like if they didn't have much, didn't have a game. If the game was at 9 o'clock, they had all day. They had a whole Olympic town that you could go to. And then every meal was, provided, whether you were at the game or if you were at the hotel or if you were at Disney Village. They were given when we went to Disney, they gave out all the athletes a voucher to get a meal.
Nice.
And we had healthy athletes too, which was one of my favorite parts. All the athletes are able to be screened for vision, hearing, dental, feet. There was a mental health component, which I loved. We had one athlete from Team Massachusetts got hearing aids. Some of our softball team got new prescription sports goggles. Somebody got prescription sunglasses. They got new eyeglasses. And
the girl with the hearing aids, was she 30 years old, and she's never been able to hear well. It was the first time she's ever had hearing aids. You could not get that smile off her face And she's still talking about it because she can hear.
Yep.
But see, that's what makes it special.
And all those doctors and all those people screening,
all
they all
volunteer.
volunteered too.
Oh, wow.
The athletes came home with these really nice electric toothbrushes.
Yep, the
And
dentist.
The coaches were able to get screened as well, and I got handed a regular old toothbrush, and I was like, "Where's mine?" "Oh, well, you know how to brush your teeth,
Yeah,
so you
yours
get
is
this."
good. Your
I was
dental
like,
health is good.
"Thanks."
But in years past, when I went with to Nebraska, they were giving fillings to people because a lot of times these athletes, they don't get to the dentist, or they don't have good enough health insurance, or they can't find a dentist that takes Mass Health. That's a challenge a lot of times. So they were doing it while they were there and giving them fixing their teeth right while we were there.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
The
So
girl that got the hearing aids, she came home with her hearing aids. They
they put
fit
'em in
her
and
right
fit 'em.
then
It's
and there.
incredible. You know, it's sad that it was 30 years old before she could get hearing aids.
Yeah.
You know, because you'd think something like that the state medical would take care of
She
it.
was always told there was nothing they could do.
Yeah.
And there was somebody there that had the magic cure.
Yeah.
She was always told there was nothing they could do.
Wow.
So that's why we're very passionate about Special Olympics and the things they do, because at the state games, Al, they have healthy athletes where you can be screened too. When we go to Harvard or locally, they do the same thing, not to the extreme, but they have the screenings. They have the dental people there. And then if they don't have someone that can do it there, they refer you to a person that can do it there. Like I had an athlete that had really bad dental, and the lady was from, I think she was from Minnesota, and she gave me her business card and said, "Please have this mom call me because I have connections in the Milford area, and I will help her son get what he needs." So those are the things that happen. That
So now, every 4 years, we get to do this again. At least we hope so.
yeah, we hope so. We'll apply again. We'll see how it goes.
Well, we've got the last two, right?
Yeah, we've gone the last 4 years.
Oh, wow.
Four times. So
Four
the
times,
past
16
years, we've had Milford athletes go.
Next year, what happens?
Next year, it's state games. It's state all year round. We'll have our state competitions. Everything's coming back. So we'll have fall state games for soccer and football and cheerleading and all that. And that's usually at Gillette and Governor Dunner. What's the name of that?
They changed
Governor's
it.
Academy now.
It's
It used to
Governor's
be-
Academy.
Yeah, it used to be Governor.
I can't imagine the marketing genius who said we should name this private school Governor Dummer.
Yeah,
I know that's the man's name,
yeah.
but please send your child here. We'll make him dumber.
And then in the winter we have the basketball and bowling and things like that, state games, and then we have the big summer games. And then we have them in August too for softball and things like that.
Yeah, because some of them, like, if I remember the Harvard one, the state swimming was a stayover night.
Yeah. We haven't done stay over in 3 years. We're hoping to get
COVID.
it back next year. This year, I think they would have brought it back this year, but the thing is USA Games was the exact same week. So it was a lot to.
So how did you cope having the USA Games, pulling away coaches and all, and still having...
We had to have people step up and help us. We had to work on that ahead of time. Like your daughter had 2 assistant coaches that have always helped her. They stepped up and ran it for her this year, And then I always am the one that helps Mark Mann with track, but he had some excellent volunteers to help him this year, and we worked on it way ahead of time so that they would be all set.
So for 3 straight years, we have our normal events and states, which are exciting amongst themselves.
They are exciting amongst themselves. And millions of other opportunities that are offered to our athletes. There's lots of leadership opportunities. They have the Youth Activation Leadership Council for the state that a lot of our students, we always have 2 people from Milford that represent on that council. There's all sorts of special events that, they'll call up our athletes. And so we have 2 athletes that are going to be going to the Red Sox game and be honored for their participation in USA Games. That's going to happen, I think, July 6th. There's like And then we have our JP Young playing on the New England Revolution Unified soccer team. And, we have things like that going on. It's constant. There's always something going on.
Yeah, it's nice because we see a lot of pictures of JP and Joe Morrow.
Yeah,
and
Joe Morrow. Yep.
you see them all over social media. I mean, not that they need it, but it does reinforce.
Well, like Joe Morrow said, the highlight for him is that he has made friendships that will last a lifetime. He calls them his brothers. That's what he said he calls them his brothers. And he said these friendships will last a lifetime. And when they did a film for Joe to honor him, they had to interview some of the athletes, one being Paula's son, Patrick. And you can see the camaraderie just oozing from these athletes when they talk about their friend being honored. And they're all just so happy for each other. And it is a big, huge camaraderie. It is like it's more than teammates. It's friends for life. And that's the highlight for these athletes. Because like Joe said, when he was in high school, he didn't have friends. He didn't have these friendships until he got involved with Special Olympics.
Were these programs around when we were kids and we just didn't know?
Well, where I grew up, we had them. But when I moved to Milford, I didn't see them. But that was 32 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to say, it was 40-some years for some of us. And I just don't remember the opportunities.
I think that Special Olympics has grown into more than just a sports program.
It's a family.
It's a family. And their mission is evolved into just so much more than sports. It's the opportunities that it can give our athletes through sports.
Well, you always worry that as the athletes age out, not that they can ever age out of Special Olympics, but their parents now flip over to where all of a sudden they need help. And you say, who's helping the special needs kids? And I love the idea of some of these programs to teach them life skills, stuff that we take for granted. Now, there's a rumor out that the good Mr. Walsh doesn't let you have candy at home, so you figured a way of having access to candy.
Mr. Walsh is a candyaholic, so I think it's the other way around.
But tell us about the new candy store.
So like we said, COVID has affected our individuals in a lot of ways, and as they turn 22, the opportunities aren't there for them as far as working, and the programming is not there, and a lot has changed due to COVID. They say it's a staffing shortage and this and that and this. So we were trying to, through the Aaron Cenas Foundation, figure out a way to help our families who are struggling with it's hard enough when you turn 22 and you're not entitled to programming anymore. You have to find something for your individual. So we are opening a specialty candy store on Central Street in Milford to employ our individuals with intellectual disabilities and have them run it and have them have an opportunity to have a quality of life, be included in the community and things like that. So that's our goal. Hopefully going to be open by the end of August. Working as hard as I can right now to get that done.
No, we're in Central Street.
19 Central Street, where Marshall's used to be, as soon as you go down the hill, right on the right.
Right on the right-hand side.
Yep.
Well, that'll be interesting.
I was there before I came here tonight, so. Yeah.
I could never work there. I would be in deep
and
trouble.
I did put in, I said, listen, we need sugar-free for Al.
There you go.
I already put that in.
And me.
And I said, Al requested sugar-free candy. We will have it at the store.
We will be there to help out by buying sugar-free candy.
We will have that.
It'll be
I don't want to get fined by Alexis if you don't have sugar-free.
It'll be a great place, though, to get favors for parties and specialty gifts and everything.
Yeah, and like your daughter is opening an e-commerce store at the high school where her students are going to be doing Milford paraphernalia, like Christmas ornaments, Milford signs, Milford mugs, things like that. And I told her, you can have a space in the store to display your stuff. And
that'd be nice.
And anything that is going to be created by our individuals, I would love to, promote in the store.
She put it in perspective for me many years ago when she said, as an educator, her job is to get the kids to rise to their potential.
Oh, yeah,
and maybe
100%.
a little bit more.
Yes.
She said the hardest part is that she has such a wide range of potential that not every child has the same level.
And that's why I wanted to do something like a specialty candy store, because there's a lot of different things that people can do. They could be packaging and weighing, or they could be working the register, or we have individuals that can help with the website. Do you know what I mean? And we have individuals that can make the baskets, or, so there was a lot of levels where we could incorporate all levels of our individuals to give them the opportunity.
Well, I remember when we used to go, I was going to say Iandoli's, but Shaw's.
Yeah.
And you'd see Jess or some of the faces.
Yeah. Still there. Jess is still there.
Wow.
John Ward is still
Yeah, I was
there
just
too.
going to say John Ward's there all the time.
But it's nice to see the kids that, you saw when they were just growing up.
Now they're 40, no longer kids. I hate to tell you, Al.
But the fact that they're on their own, that they're out there doing typical jobs.
Well, and if they didn't have the opportunity, Milford Public Schools has given a great opportunity to our students with the Pre-Voc and the Voc program and Project Search and things like that, to give them as many opportunities as we can, so when they do go out, when they do turn 22, they have the tools they need and the experience they need to be full.
So 22 is the state level?
The day you turn 22, you can't go to school anymore. So your last day of being 21 is your last day of school. So it doesn't matter when it happens. If it happens,
So after that, you're on your own?
after that, my job is to make sure they have services in place. So the adult agencies are we connect them with adult agencies, and adult agencies take over. So there is a plan. The thing is that the plan is extremely different. It has gone from having programs for our individuals to asking parents to create the programs.
Oh, wow.
So that's what COVID has done, and the staffing shortage and all that. So now that's why we're trying to come up with ways creatively to help our families and our individuals have opportunities. And hey, maybe they won't want to work in a candy store the rest of their life, but it will give them the skills, and then we can help them apply to something else that they really want to do.
Well, I mean, the town has stepped up a number of times.
Yeah.
I remember the sneaky night you were voting on the bus, and I look out the door, and there's all these special needs kids staring in at the door. They're coming in. And somebody said, well, you're going to have a hard time saying no to your daughter. I said, my daughter I can say no to. Look at those faces.
I know.
You can't say no to the faces. And when they came in and said, we need the bus because otherwise it's very difficult for us to get around.
And that's the thing, though, that look at the skill that, because I know exactly the individual I brought with me was Brett Crosby, because he was passionate about being independent and getting to the bus to work and back and forth. So he went and advocated on behalf of himself and others and spoke up.
Well, when he said, please don't take this away from me
Yeah.
because I may not be able to do what I want to do.
Yeah.
And you sit there and say, I can't appreciate it. Thank God that I never needed to take advantage of these services.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't really appreciate how much of a burden, and I shouldn't say burden, but how much work goes on the
how
back
much
of parents
Yeah.
who have to do their own lives and then support their children. And that's, burden's a bad word, but it's a lot more work.
Well, yeah, because you have to drive your son or daughter or wherever to where they need to be once you turn 22, and then you have to pick them up. And if they have a job that's 8 to 12 and your job's 8 to 6, like how do you do all that? So the town transportation has really helped a lot of our individuals, that are on the route, and even if they're not on the route, they can call and get the bus. But it's helped a lot of our individuals live fully independent lives. That's what they want. They want to be
that
fully.
was the thing when it came back, when we funded it the first time, every month, or how many people? Oh, you've only had that many?
Yeah.
It's not worth it. But
Yeah.
then when you took into consideration the value for the special needs community
And a lot of the low income community.
and the low income, but you turn around and say, they're not able to drive. Some of the low income families couldn't afford car. God help them today with gasoline. You know,
Yeah,
so-
because we have many individuals that want to drive, that study to drive, and then they go to the lesson, and their peripheral vision isn't right, and then they go to the doctor, and the doctor says you can't drive. So it's something that can be a goal for a long time, and they don't even realize that they can't achieve it until they go through it all, and something like that happens. So they for Brett, he really loved working at the high school. He loves coaching, and to get there every day would be a burden if he didn't have,
But again, these kids are no more special, no less special.
No.
We have football players. We built them a stadium. We have softball players. We built a softball pitch.
And if you see the bus in front of Milford High, it's busy every single day. There's a lot of kids getting off that stop in the morning.
See, I think the problem is, in the other routes, people see the bus driving along
Yeah.
with one or two people in
Yeah.
it, but they don't understand the impact.
Yeah, we have a huge group of students that get dropped off there in the morning and get picked up there in the afternoon. So it's a great.
Well, I think more and more people have come to accept how important it is in general.
If
'Cause-
you don't need it, you don't understand it. You have to see it through the eyes of people that need it. Do you know what I mean? Like I needed a bus growing up, but I lived in Newton. There was a bus everywhere. You know what I mean? But you come out here, it's harder to get that access. So people, the people don't have that opportunity. It's such a great thing that Milford did to give those people that don't have that opportunity.
Well, again, that's town meeting taking care of
Yeah,
Milford kids.
it is.
Because you cannot justify $250,000 a year
Yep.
for the handful of people
Yep.
that you see on a bus.
Yeah, like then it's not. I don't know what it is now because I haven't been involved in it a while. But it was like 900 riders a month or something.
Right.
Yeah,
So, you're running buses
I think it's a lot more than
and
that
it's
now.
20 or 30 people a day. Financially, you can't justify it. But you can't justify a football stadium. You can't justify,
I know.
field and track.
Yeah.
You do it because it's a community.
You do it to give people in the community the opportunity to have a full, complete life. That they couldn't if these opportunities weren't there for them.
Well, it's like I say, I thank God that I didn't need it, but it doesn't mean that I don't need it as a resident of Milford.
Right. Right.
And like I say, the people who look at, do we really need to do this? Stop. It's not do we need. I mean, thank God Milford financially, we're blessed that our department heads really help us and watch our money so that we can do things that we should do.
Because really, that's what Milford does so well. It helps. It's about everybody in the community. It's about everybody in the community, and that's what they do. They step up and they help everybody in the community, not just. Do you know what I mean?
And that's it.
And it isn't always going to be about. It isn't always going to be about making a lot of money at it or bringing a lot of money in. Sometimes you can't do that to help. It's not going to be economically feasible, but other things are. So we make it up in other ways.
You think back, 1939 when my grandfather moved to Milford. He took advantage of things. People helped him get settled. So now we're just paying back old debts.
Yeah, I agree.
And there'll be things that my family will need that your family won't. But it doesn't mean we should only do the stuff for your
That's-
family or mine.
Right.
And when you look, like I said, these kids, they're part of the 4,500 or 4,700 Milford kids, and you got to take care of them.
Yep.
It's not that by law, don't get me wrong, we got to follow the laws.
Yeah.
Personally, no, Milford has always done better. Many times I've said, I don't need somebody on Beacon Hill or Capitol Hill in Washington to tell me how to take care of Milford kids. I'll just go to the town meeting, because they always seem to know. And even though they growl and snarl, and we get to a point where we're at the FinCom saying, we're broke, we're destitute, but we need this for the kids. Okay, we'll figure a way. And that's kind of what makes Milford special.
Yep. I agree. I agree.
So now, if parents or non-special needs community parents want to help,
Oh, we'll take it, right, Paula?
Yep, they could
We
be
always need
unified
help.
partners for bowling. They could help coach.
They can help fundraise, they can help in the office, they can help any, we will take any help that we can get because we always are looking for volunteers. Coaching, chaperoning, even if it's a one-day event that you want to help at, we're always looking for
Yeah, I
for
remember
people.
how I got started. I got a call at 3 in the afternoon from somebody saying that we know you're already coaching 3 teams, but we need somebody to help coach a soccer team or
I
else
won't
the
tell
kids.
you who put me up to it.
Well, I found out later that Jen went to my daughter and said, how do we get your father to coach our soccer team?
She said, just call him, here's the number.
Just call him and tell him if he doesn't sign up, the kids can't play. But I was scared to death. I had never.
I think that's for a lot of people that want to volunteer, it's just the unknown, but once they come, they never leave.
There was,
Mike Tim will tell you that, Ryan Cass will tell you that, Paula will tell you
I
that.
was scared that I was going to let these kids down.
No.
That was me. I was so afraid. But let me tell you, what they give back to me, I can't give back to them.
Once you got in, I said, this is so much easier and so much more fun. And I loved my girls. I had 16 girls that I had for 5 to 10 years coaching. They were wonderful. And their parents were very protective.
Yeah.
They were great. But they couldn't compare.
No.
Because the special needs parents, I kept trying to tell them, stop saying thank you. I should be saying it to you. So, you know, when you think about it, if you have some time, I can say from experience that this is the most satisfying, wonderful experience you could ask for.
I agree.
Any last words for the community?
Well, like we said, reach out if you want to volunteer. You can reach out to us on Facebook, Milford Special Olympics. We're on Instagram. We're everywhere. So just reach out if you're interested. We're more than happy to take any volunteers that are interested.
Worst case, call the school and say, connect me to Special Olympics.
Yeah.
Connect me to Jen.
Walsh. And then, yeah, so, but thank you, Al, for having us.
Oh, thank you as always, and thank you for what you do for our kids.
It's what they do for me.
I know it is.
And
What
as
they do
always,
for me.
Milford is a special place. You know, I hate to believe that not every town is like Milford, because it should be. I mean, there's things that we need to do better, like everywhere. But when it comes down to taking care of our kids and finding the funds, town meeting is always come through. It gets a little bumpy here and there, but at the end of the day, we have people like Jen and others who just have a passion for helping our kids. And that brings on the rest of us who just want to help. So if you do have a moment of time you can help, please. And take it from one old man who was scared to death. It's a wonderful experience. So to our 6 loyal viewers, may God bless. May tomorrow be a better day than today. And I hope to see you at the next Best Buddies event or Special Olympics event. Good night, all.
Not too long since I've been home. Been running all my life just searching for my soul.